phrase I like to use is you can only lead a horse so close to water before you're drowning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you're drowning. Yeah. 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 The other takeoff on that is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink,
Yeah.
but you can put salt in its food.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Then it gets thirsty.
right?
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of salt, though, I mean, I think we definitely prepared our souls in a sense to talk about healing with fats.
yeah. Well, fat is, son, fat, like the segue for me is fat omega-3s.
Yes.
If they're made with health in mind, if they're in their natural state, because they're super, super sensitive to damage, are the God molecule.
Oh.
Because they have the most energy.
Yes.
And God is energy, right?
Yeah.
So why? Because first of all, fats store more energy than carbohydrates do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know that. 4 calories per gram for carbs and proteins, 9 for fats. So they store more energy. But the omega-3s and 6s, those are called essential fatty acids. Mm. And their essential means, according to researchers, not in marketing, people call everything essential because they want you to buy it.
Yeah.
But in research, it has a very definite, specific definition. Essential nutrient is a nutrient that you have to bring in from outside because you cannot make it in your body from anything else. Okay?
Okay.
And the second part of it is, if you don't get enough, you cannot stay healthy. Your health will deteriorate. You will get deficiency symptoms because you're not getting enough. They are degenerative in nature. They get worse with time. And if you don't get enough long enough of any essential nutrient, your body dies.
Yeah. What are some of the...
go ahead. Let me finish the definition. Okay. Yeah. Third one is, if you're going down because you're not getting enough, but you bring enough of the essential nutrient that is too low in your diet, you bring enough of that back into your body, then all of your deficiency symptoms are reversed and you get your health back. Nice. Because life, the master, knows how to build a body that works. The only responsibility you have is making sure that you make sure that enough of each of these essential building blocks that life uses to construct your body land in it so life can do its job.
Nice.
Right? So that's what essential means. And there are 18 minerals, 13 vitamins, 8 essential amino acids that come from protein, and 2 essential fatty acids that come from fats that fit that definition. Of those, the most sensitive, most chemically active, most energy containing, most easily damaged, needing the most care are omega-3 and omega-6. And omega-3, 5 times more sensitive to damage than omega-6. Most of our oils are omega-6 oils. The industry has never liked working with omega-3s that much because they're perishable.
Yeah.
You want a 3-year shelf life on an oil so you can make it in Texas and sell it in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Then you need to find a way to make it stable, or you got to pick fats that by nature are stable. So we don't do that with omega-3s. We do it with omega-3s because we realized when I got poisoned by pesticides, this is how this began, right?
1980.
And I knew that the body turns over 98% every year. So every year, like if we meet a year from now, 98% of the atoms in your body will have been removed and replaced.
Oh, wow.
Which means that your body is a major construction site.
Yeah.
Every day, half a pound of atoms and molecules in your body go in the bucket. I'm not talking about toilet.
Yeah.
I'm talking come off the skin and come off the lining of your digestive tract. Half a pound. So in a year, it's 98% of your body. When I got poisoned, I realized, if I raise my standard of food intake and water intake and air intake, because that's what the body's made from.
Yeah.
And maybe get a little more sunlight, right? Then in 1 year, I should be able to rebuild 98% of my body to a higher standard. So when you're sick, raise your standard.
Yeah.
Right. And because there's so much turnover in the body, that's why healing is possible. Right. If the body never turned over, you wouldn't have to eat anymore after you're an adult, but you also wouldn't be able to heal.
That's true.
And I got stuck on, I knew that, so I got really interested in looking at all of that. And we got stuck on oils because they were so confusing.
Yeah.
Because people would say fats are bad. In the old days, everybody was on low-fat diets.
Mm-hmm.
Their skin was dry. All the vegetarians were on like 10% of calories from fats.
Oh.
And they'd have low energy and dry skin. So when I talked to the Vegetarian Society, I said to them, how many of you are on low-fat diet? Every hand goes up. How many of you have dry skin? Every hand goes up. So that you're making one mistake in your vegan diet, the vegetarian diet. There are some benefits to eating more plants.
Yeah.
There's good research. There's lots of research on it now. But if you don't get enough fat, then your skin will get dry, and dry skin is a sign that you're not getting enough of the right kind of fats. And they're also the high energy molecules. And in fact, we've done studies with athletes where they get, after 30 days of starting to take a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day, so for most people, 2 to 4 tablespoons, of an oil blend that is properly balanced and made with health in mind, their stamina, when they do their sport to exhaustion, goes up by 40 to 60%.
Oh, wow.
40 to 60%. And basically they do their sport to exhaustion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no training program that gets you that kind of gains. Now we talked to one of the trainers in the Dallas Cowboys in 1988 on our first tour, and he had heard about what we were doing, and he said, we find that our athletes heal in a third to half the time. They can go longer before they get tired. We're talking about football players, right? Dallas Cowboys, right? And their injuries heal in a third to half the time, and they recover quicker from fatigue once they get tired.
Wow.
And that's all because omega-3s bring oxygen into the body, and oxygen debt makes you tired. And then when you go, you're trying to pump oxygen in because you're trying to unload the lactic acid, and that requires oxygen. That's what happens when you get tired. Then we were so excited. We thought, oh my God, we just found our ticket to heaven.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys are going to tell everybody, and the word is going to get out, and they're going to listen to them way more than they're going to listen to me, right? And it turned out nobody said a thing.
Oh.
Nobody said a thing, because it was when they found out that they could get an edge. The sports were so competitive that they would not tell anybody.
Yeah. Because
that gave them an edge. So we had to do it all the slow way, and we're still doing it. And omega-3 was only established as an essential nutrient in 1981, which was the year after I got poisoned. So my timing couldn't have been better. Of course, it wasn't my timing, right? That was not totally. So many things are not in my control, and omega-6s were known to be essential in 1929. So this was the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
And part of for me, when I learned about all of that, I knew that every cell in the body needs them. I knew that 99% of the population doesn't get enough for optimum health, that they're a nightmare to work with. So we would need to give them special care.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that, I just had this flash. It's like, oh my God, if we could make them with health in mind, and we could bring them back and optimize them in people's diets, We could help almost everybody. We could help so many people. And I lit up like a firecracker. I didn't have any business background. I didn't have any money either.
Yeah.
Right. But just enthusiasm. I think enthusiasm means filled with God, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was so inspired. Oh my God. And it was like, I found a purpose. I found a purpose that's worth doing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things I did that and then we started traveling. Well, we built machinery. We actually built machinery that protects the oil from light, oxygen, and heat while it's being pressed, filtered, settled, filled. Put it in glass because plastic leaches into oil, doesn't belong in the body. Put it in a box to cut out the light. Put it in a fridge to lower the temperature to keep it fresh longer. So we took a huge amount of care that people are not used to giving to oils. And then we went on the road and started telling everybody about it. And we did a 101-day tour in a van without air conditioning in the hottest months of the year in the US.
Oh, man.
July, August, half of September, half of June. And did it all on raw vegetables because we found if we ate meat, we felt heavy. And if we ate carbs, we fell asleep. So that was not a good way. So we ate all on raw vegetables, 85 cities, 35 states, 17,000 miles by road, worked all day, drove all night. And in 2 years, the oil we were working with became the second highest selling oil in the natural foods trade, which is where we introduced it.
Yeah.
And and then we improved it and made a blend. And basically that blend is what I work with.
Nice.
And people have seen what was really nice about it is people consistently saw results.
Yeah.
And because they saw results, they told other people. So it was quite nice. And we got to tell the story. We never had to sell the oil. We just told the story of how oils work, and people would sell themselves.
Yeah.
So it was very nice. And I'm still enthusiastic about the oils, although now I'm talking about all the rest of health as well.
Yeah.
One of the things, speaking of beyond the rut, I noticed when I went traveling and I was giving talks, there were people in my audiences who went to every talk of every expert on every topic regarding health that came through town. And there were stacks. They had stacks of notebooks and they wrote copious notes, and they knew more than I did. And they still had lots of problems that I knew were just simple problems.
Yeah.
I started thinking about why is it that we don't do, why is it we know more than we put in practice?
Yeah.
It's true for us all. It's true for me too, right? Why is it that we don't do that? And the conclusion I came to had to do with inspiration. When you're inspired, you get energy is freed. And that energy lifts you out of the ruts, your thinking ruts. And when you're lifted out of that rut, which is a lot of work, then making change is not that hard.
Yeah.
Because when I'm inspired, I say, I love life. And it is so amazing to be alive. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to enjoy this experience for as long as possible. And if I have to change some habits, I'll change them.
Yeah.
Because I'm inspired. But if I'm not inspired, then everything's too much work. And then I want to do the minimum. And if I get really uninspired, which is depressed, then I might even destroy my body. Because life is not worth living. It's so hard and there's no hope. And right. So the energy level is huge. It's a huge issue. So inspiration to me is nutrient one. You have to give accurate information, because if you lie to people, you take away their choice. Yeah. It's a form of dictatorship. If you're inspired, everything becomes possible. Yeah. So then it became, okay, I got to give accurate information, but it's just as important that people get inspired.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Well, you got to be inspired yourself.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You sit in your ache until you discover your light.
Yes.
Right? And again, what you call it is not as important as that you feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What we were talking about in part 1 of this conversation ties back into this part 2 of the conversation. For somebody who's not in the know or doesn't realize, so we talked about, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are important. They're essential. What are some of the signs and signals that we have? I mean, you talked about like dry skin, feeling kind of lethargic or tired all the time. What are some of the common, I guess, ailments that we face because we have that deficiency in omega-3 and 6 fatty acids?
Literally every cell falls apart.
Oh.
Literally, they're required, and they have, the body, we take them in as essential fatty acids. Then the body converts them into lots of other molecules. Some of them have hormonal functions. Some of them have brain function, like DHA in fish oil. Most people have heard about it.
Yeah.
The body makes antioxidants out of them. The body makes anti-inflammatories out of them. So I'm telling you some conditions where they're going to be helpful, right? And they literally could be like the whole realm. If you summarize the research on omega-3s now, if you increase omega-3s in your diet, and provided you've made them with care so they're not toxic and they're not damaged, you can improve virtually every major degenerative condition of our time. That's the summary of the research. Why? Because 99% of the population isn't getting enough. They are required by every cell, and they're essential, and the body can't make them.
Yeah.
So you have to bring them in.
What are some common foods where you'll find these fatty acids?
The richest source that's easily available is flaxseed.
Oh, okay.
Flaxseed. And flaxseed oil, you probably heard of it. That was the first oil we created.
Okay.
Flaxseed oil made with health in mind.
Yeah.
But flax is poorly balanced. So I became omega-6 deficient on it because the two compete in the body. So you have to get the ratio right as well. And so I developed a blend that I work with now.
Nice.
Yeah. But if you want to list some of them, they make bones stronger because they support the bone building cells and inhibit the bone breakdown cells. That's always going on in your bones, building and unbuilding, right?
Yeah.
So they encourage the building of bone rather than the breakdown.
Nice.
They lower all the major cardiovascular risk factors: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, sticky platelets, CRP, which is inflammatory measure, C-reactive protein.
All the big killers in the United States right there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And they have anti-cancer properties because they increase oxygen in the body. Oxygen makes you alkaline, and cancer likes acid. Acid is carbon dioxide. Acid is animal foods. Plant foods are more alkaline. So that's why plants are also helpful. But none of this, you can't say omega-3s are the cure for cancer because there are lots of things going on in cancer.
Yeah. And
you can't say, you can also get high blood pressure from lack of magnesium. So it's not only omega-3s that will fix anytime you have it. So because an essential nutrient can only fix what lack of that nutrient causes.
Yeah.
Very specific. If you have and you can only have so many symptoms. So you can get blood pressure from a number of different ways, right?
Yeah.
One is not enough omega-3. One is not enough magnesium. One is too much sodium, salt, right?
Yeah.
So omega-3 will only fix the part of high blood pressure that comes from not having enough 3, right? Omega-3 can only fix the part of high blood pressure that comes from lack of omega-3. To fix the part of high blood pressure that comes from lack of magnesium, you have to fix that with magnesium. And to fix the part that comes from too much salt, you have to lower the salt.
Yeah.
right? So it's very specific. So when somebody says to you, "Oh yeah, that'll fix everything," "Oh yeah, oh yeah, that'll fix everything," you know that you know they're you know they're telling you a story that they like you to hear and believe because they want to sell you something behind
They're
it.
selling the hype and the elixir in a sense, as opposed to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
overall.
And I dislike that because they misinform.
Yeah.
Then you go away, you think something works, and it's actually there's no evidence that it works.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you don't know that for years.
Yeah, I just realized the audience can't see what I've been doing for our entire conversation. Is I've been doing a lot of nodding with the occasional yeah. So this is one of those conversations.
It's really boring. So he's nodding out.
No, not nodding out. I'm nodding like I should have been taking notes the entire time, but that's why I record these. I can go back and take my notes later.
Yeah. You got the notes.
And I know you do have like Udo's Choice is like a catalog of products that Dina and Angela from your team have mentioned to me. Tell me more about what's in that. You mentioned there's a flaxseed oil. What are some of those other things that we would find if we went to Udo's Choice?
Udo's oil is the blend that we work with. That's the one we did with the athletes that got them 40 to 60% increase.
Back when the Cowboys were winning. So just
maybe the new trainer never used the oil.
I think so, because they haven't won much since. So
so they were winning. In those days, they were definitely winning. So sorry,
tell us more about like Udo's Choice and like the catalog of products that you've got.
Okay, so I started with fats because that was the most poorly addressed area in nutrition.
Yeah.
And then also was nobody was doing it. So I had the background in biochemistry and genetics from my, trying to figure out how the world works and how I work and all that. And so I took that on and said, let's make oils with health in mind.
Yeah.
As opposed to oils made with shelf life in mind.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really got to me was that I read in the research literature, this is like scientific research literature. And on the one hand, it says omega-6 is an essential nutrient, which means you can't make it and you got to have it and you can't be healthy without it. And on the other hand, they would say omega-6s give you cancer and kill you.
Huh.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. So, what? How can something that is essential for health also kill you? It's like, that's completely contradictory. And trying to resolve that got me looking at how oils are made.
Yeah.
And I find out they're treated with Drano, then with window washing acid, then they're bleached, and then they're heated to frying temperature to take things out that shorten the shelf life because they want a long shelf life for a big market. And in that process, about 1% of the molecules are damaged. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in a tablespoon, that 1% damaged molecules is more than 1 million damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells.
Wow.
It's like 60 quintillion damaged molecules in 1 tablespoon.
Oh, geez.
And it was like, oh my God.
It's like, that's it? No kidding.
Can't get healthy. And then we throw it in the frying pan. Oh. Frying is the dumbest thing we've ever invented to do in terms of health to our food.
Yeah.
Because we're putting, these oils need the most care of any of our nutrients. We give them the least. We don't throw anything else in the frying pan and watch it turn into smoke.
Yeah.
And if you turn oil into smoke, you change the chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. And there's research that says that cooks who spend 8 hours a day in front of the frying pan have 4 times more lung cancer than normal people who maybe spend 2 hours in front of the frying pan when they're cooking. 4 times more cancer, lung cancer. It's from breathing in the damaged molecules.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got that going.
Yeah.
And then I started saying, okay, well, what is the next most neglected area? And in my opinion, it's digestion.
Mm-hmm.
And digestion is like, it's intense activity goes on in your digestive system because you're throwing foreign stuff in there.
Yeah.
And you have to have an immune system that protects you from foreign stuff that gets into you. Right. And, and as a result, people have stuff going on in their digestive system all the time. Either they're burping or they're farting, you know, or they got stomach aches, or they got diarrhea, or they got constipation, or they, you know, they throw up, or, you know, so so there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And what can we do to improve digestion? And the conclusion I came to is 3 things that are really important in digestion. None of them are essential nutrients, but all of them are essential for health, because digestion goes on outside your body.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Never thought about it.
No,
because
you gotta...
no, because your digestive tract is just a hole through your body, right?
Yeah.
Hole on one hand, hole on the other end.
Yes.
And you throw stuff in there, and it's in that hole in the middle, but that hole is outside your body. So you break everything down, and then you draw into your body only the things that you need.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting, huh? So what happens when you cook foods? You destroy the enzymes that are in the food that will do around 60% of your digestion for you. Now, if you look at nature, the mandate was fresh, whole, raw, organic.
Yeah.
Nobody, no squirrels with frying pans. In frying pans, maybe, but with frying pans, no.
No.
Right? So fresh, whole, raw, organic. That's nature standard for every creature that eats. When we cook, that's a human invention that we imposed on nature. When we cook foods, the enzymes in the food, that when you chew it up, does 60% of the digestion of the food it's in for us. Well, when we cook them and destroy them, now our body has to do more than twice as much work than it was intended to have to do.
Oh, wow.
That'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
Right? So replace the enzymes destroyed when foods were cooked. That's the way you fix it.
Yeah.
Right? Or you go back to raw foods. That's not a bad idea either. It's also a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's one. The second one is, in nature, there are bacteria. And I classify them in 3 ways. One is rot bacteria, whose job it is to be everywhere, and as soon as the creature's body dies, then it takes down the body and recycles the parts.
Yeah.
Right? The molecules. The second one is bacteria or microorganisms that would like to live inside of your digestive tract because it's warm there and there's lots of food, but would make
those
you
freeloaders.
Sick. Huh?
I said those freeloaders.
Yeah. But they would make you sick if they did. So you're talking about cholera and salmonella and typhoid, and there were lots before hygiene.
Yeah.
A lot of people died from bacterial infections. A lot of them in the digestive tract.
Yeah.
But elsewhere as well. So I call those the sick bacteria. And then there's a third kind of bacteria that protect you from the other 2.
Okay.
And those are called probiotics.
Yeah.
Bacteria. And those covered the foods that grew in nature, the plants especially. And they lived in the top layer of the plant material that was fermenting and turning back into soil. And when a plant pushed through the soil, the soil bacteria that include a lot of rot bacteria, they were stripped back and stayed in the soil, and they picked up probiotics in this top fermenting layer. So they then grew and were covered by probiotics.
Yeah.
When you ate fresh, whole, raw, organic, like nature said you should, then with every mouthful, you got probiotics in your mouth. They then worked their way through your entire digestive tract and regulated the rest of the bacteria in your digestive tract.
Wow.
So protective bacteria.
Yeah.
Right? When you cook the food, you kill them.
Yeah.
So now you don't get them. So now then the unfriendly bacteria can take over. And that's where many of the diarrheas come from, and many of the bloating and the inflammation comes from. So if you cook your food, you need to replace those. replace the probiotics that you need to have
Yeah.
that came from nature that you killed by cooking.
And that's where the blend comes in.
And that's where the probiotic blends come in.
Nice.
And they change, the amount you need changes as you age, actually increases as you age. And the kind that you need for best results also changes over your life cycle. So we made age-specific probiotics blends
Oh, wow.
for kids, for for children, for adults, for seniors, and then we made some condition-specific ones. I
Nice.
brush my teeth with probiotics.
Really?
Open the capsule on the tongue, brush my teeth with them because they're supposed to start on top.
Okay.
It's supposed to go through the whole digestive tract.
Yeah.
What people often do is they swallow a capsule.
Yeah.
The capsule opens up in your stomach, so you get benefits from your stomach down, but none from your stomach up.
Mm.
But in nature, you got benefits from them from your stomach up as well.
Yeah.
So I brush my teeth with them, then I swallow them. I leave them in my mouth. I don't rinse my mouth because they will multiply in your mouth all night. You don't swallow, so they stay in your mouth. And they fight the rot bacteria that would otherwise take over your mouth during the night.
Oh, yeah.
And they're the reason why breath is so bad in the morning.
The rot bacteria.
Because the rot bacteria.
Yeah.
So they're eating your mouth and they're piling up, right? And they just happen to smell really bad.
Yeah.
So when you brush your teeth with probiotics and leave them in your mouth, they fight those rot bacteria. They steal their food and they outpopulate them. You wake up with exponentially less severe bad breath in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's a second area that I've worked on. And then fiber, which comes from plants, is really important to feed the probiotics in the digestive tract.
Yeah.
And but also good for bowel regularity and good for stabilizing blood sugar by slowing down its absorption into the body. So those three work in the digestive tract and are not essential nutrients, but are essential to health.
Yeah.
So I worked with that. That's most of what I've done. There are lots of other things I could do, but I basically just took on the stuff that wasn't being addressed properly.
Yeah.
And
you've been doing it for a while, almost 30 years.
I started in 1980. I got poisoned. 1981, I started really getting into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so 1986 is when the oil came out.
Nice.
I wrote a couple of books. One is called Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, because they're two completely opposite stories on fats.
Yeah. I highly recommend that book, by the way.
Yeah. Have you read it?
Got a copy of it, and it's next on my list. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a good book. There's a lot of good information.
I was flipping through it. I'm like, okay, I got to finish these other books, but this is coming up.
Yeah. So, it's a lot broader. It's not just fats. I mean, it's a very good background book for anything that has to do with physical health. And I get a little bit into the other stuff, the inspiration and the heart stuff as well. But
which has been the core of this conversation, is it's not just the nutrition, it's the whole person.
No, and you know what? The fact that the peace in the core of your being and the unconditional love that is your life energy, that is your master within you, and inspiration, which is to shine of that into the world. Mm-hmm. Those three never get sick, have no form, never die, and are not affected by stress or ruts or anything.
Yeah.
And they exist within you every moment of every day, just like stress does, just like thoughts do. And if you want to live a really healthy life, you have to have your base of your life in that inner nature, because that's where health comes from. The reason why your body gets healthy after being sick is because life in you is health. You know, so you call it Jesus. If you call it health, that would be just fine. Exactly right too, right? Right? Yeah. So that health is in you. And if you are aware of that health, you feel healthy. And when you feel healthy, you don't create thoughts that get in the way of your healing.
Yeah.
You know that if you cut yourself, right, then you don't do anything except maybe put a Band-Aid on it or protect the rawness of the wound, right? And then you go about your business and you don't think about it, and life heals that cut.
Yeah.
Without you doing anything abnormal or different. So life knows how to heal. Now, if you get a cut and life leaves your body, you know that cut's not going to heal.
Mm-mm.
Right? So life is the healer.
Yeah.
Life is the energy. You need energy to run chemical reactions. Well, life is that energy. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you really want to be healthy, you got to have a foundation in peace. By the way, when you sit in peace and you're not in stress and oh my God, this and oh my God, that, when you sit in peace, it makes your immune system stronger. When you get depressed, you actually break down your immune system. When you eat sugar, a teaspoon of sugar can knock down your immune system for 5 to 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's why sugar doesn't grow in bags on trees. Not part of the natural system in that form, in that concentration.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? And so, yeah, fundamentally, when you talk about health, you got to talk about internal awareness, which is the peace.
Mm-hmm.
You got to talk about life energy, which is the master in the body. You got to talk about inspired creativity. That's your shine into the world, life shining into the world. That's the positive part of mind.
Yeah.
Then you got physical body, food, fitness, sleep, detox, avoiding poisons. That's basically that territory. The next one out is survival smarts. And survival smarts, it's important to be able to stay in your calm place under fire, right? That's what emergencies are, right?
Yeah.
And so learning the skills that you can anticipate you might need in the kinds of emergencies and crises that naturally show up where you live, whether that's hurricanes or tornadoes or floods or cold or heat or whatever it is. Learning skills is helpful, and you don't want to learn them during the crisis. You want to preempt the crisis, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to be able to stay in a calm place in the midst of everything. So that's number 5. Then social group. Social group affects your health. So you want to be healthy to people, and you want to spend time with people who also keep you healthy.
Yeah.
Right? And you can help the people who don't keep you healthy, but you need to do it in a way that is sustainable, because making yourself sick to help people is probably not the best way to do it. So you need to have your own recharge time, and so that you can be fully present. You can bring all of yourself to whatever it is you're doing. And then environment obviously affects your health, right? And then the last one is, I call it infinite awareness. And infinite awareness, if you go into internal awareness where your peace lives, and you're in that, and you're feeling that peace, you discover that peace doesn't end where your body ends. You're just actually a center of that peace. And so is every other human being. You're a center of that peace, and from there it goes out to infinity. And coming to terms with the fact that here we are in a human form that is a terminal condition, right? A temporary condition, a terminal condition in an infinite universe, and being okay with that. And being okay that one day the body will finish, and being aware of it, actually. Not guy going, oh, I'm going to die. Not like anxious.
Yeah.
But accepting, because here we are. This is the, that's the nature of it. And people say, oh yeah, we're going to figure out some gadgets and then we will be able to live forever. No, you won't. No, you won't, because anything that has form will lose its form. That's the nature of form.
Yeah.
The only thing that won't lose its form is what has no form to begin with. Energy has no form. Peace has no form. Inspiration has no form. And to be able to live a balanced life in the formed, but also present to the formless, that's the cherished, to be fully present in all of my being and my surroundings, and not lost in thoughts and fears and emotions and stuff in my head, flappy stuff. I call it flappy stuff.
Flappy stuff.
To be fully present in all of my being and my surroundings. When that happens, that, by the way, I think that's how the masters lived, because they actually were present in all of their being. That's why they could heal. That's why they had the wisdom. That's why they could teach. And every master that I've ever read, if you read it, they said, what I have, you have. Every human being has what the master has. The difference between us and them is they took it seriously and we mostly dabble in it.
Yeah.
That's why I would say that's the difference.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And how cool is that? And why not aim for that?
Yeah.
Why not aim for that full presence? Why not make that a part of your daily routine, right?
Yeah.
To become better and better and better and better at it. After 10,000 hours of sitting still, you're probably going to be a lot better than you were before you started.
Exactly.
Right? And is it worth it? Absolutely worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Life is such an incredible invention, such an incredible gift.
Yeah.
If only we take the time to notice.
Yeah. Wow.
To notice. We don't even notice.
I know. I was just thinking, this is also just the perfect place to land. I mean, from where part one started, we talked about, the horror that is war, the waste that is called war. And we talked about peace, and then we talked about nutrition, and then we just landed it back to.
And
boom,
just to finish the war thing, it was not fun when I was in the war.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Not supposed to be.
But I look back now and I say, what a gift.
Yeah.
I don't wish it on anybody, but what a gift it was, because it rubbed my nose into where we don't want to be.
Yeah.
And to start looking really early for something that works better than that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a gift just because it got me started when I was 6 years old.
Man. Yeah, truly a gift.
And most of my disasters are like that. You don't like them when you're going through them, but what you're forced to learn, because you hadn't learned it, that's why you had the disaster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What you learned as a result of the disaster is often something that profoundly changes the way you live.
Yeah.
Towards better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
nice.
You know what? 8 billion people could live their lives lit up from within, because the light's already there. It's just a matter of looking into it instead of looking away from it. When we do that, we will feel so cared for that we won't steal each other's stuff. When we stop stealing each other's stuff, we can live in harmony.
Yeah.
And when we live in harmony and feel lit up, then making sure that everybody's basic needs are met on a long-term sustainable basis is a natural outcome of that, of living in that state of being. Yeah. That's what I'm living into.
Yeah.
8 billion people.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's a vision worth going after too, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. And you know what? Thinking big is no harder than thinking small. So you might as well make it really big and make it work for everybody.
I love that. That works for Beyond the Ruts message in so many ways. Yeah. Now we've talked about, you've got your book, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill. Your website is udoerasmus.com, and I'll have that in the show notes for our listeners.
The one with the products, it's Udo's Choice, UDO's Choice, UDO'sChoice.com. That's where the products are and how we made them, why we made them.
Nice. Yeah. Perfect. I'll make sure that's in the show notes as well.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel. Oh yeah, I'm not hard to find.
Awesome. I'll make sure that's all in there as well. Thank you so much, Udo. This great conversation. I got in here thinking we're going to talk about fats, we're going to talk about health, and what we got was a whole lot of bonus content, as I like to say at work. And thank you so much for giving your time and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being such a beautiful host. Oh, thank you. Big smiles, many nods. Yes. Yeah. The audience couldn't see any of that, but I've been smiling for like an hour and a half now. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.